All right, let's talk about something very important, inflammation. Now, inflammation itself isn't a bad thing. It's actually your body's natural healing and repair process. But the real problem begins when inflammation becomes chronic. That's when real damage starts to occur. When your body faces an infection, maybe from a virus, bacteria, or any other pathogen, it's your immune system's inflammatory response that steps in to fight. Ironically, though, this same immune reaction can also create a lot of collateral damage. In other words, it's not always the pathogen itself that harms you, but your body's overreaction to it. Think about what happens during a cytokine storm. That extreme, hyper-inflammatory response that can damage the lungs. Doctors often prescribe prednisone, a synthetic form of cortisol, to calm things down. But it's that excessive inflammation that does most of the harm. Now let's talk about autoimmune diseases, conditions like Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and even alopecia, where the body attacks itself. The common thread here is inflammation. If we can reduce inflammation, we can often reduce the pain, stiffness, and complications that come with these diseases. Old injuries can also trigger lingering inflammation. Over time, this can lead to scar tissue, stiffness, and chronic pain, something I've personally experienced in my left elbow, back, and ankles after past injuries. It's not surprising that one of the world's top-selling drugs is Humira. And what's it used for? Inflammation. That tells us how widespread this issue really is. Before I dive into the main causes of inflammation, I want to share something new that many people haven't heard of. Inflammatory onchotaxis. This is a phenomenon where cancer tends to spread into areas of the body that have experienced mechanical injury or ongoing inflammation. That means if you've had old injuries, chronic irritation in the colon from certain foods, inflammation in the lungs from smoking, or even damage in the breast tissue, those areas may be more vulnerable. It's powerful knowledge because it helps us understand where cancer may be more likely to develop, and that gives us the chance to take action early. So, let's look at the first major cause of inflammation, a lack of cortisol. Cortisol is your body's main anti-inflammatory hormone, but here's the twist. You can end up with too little cortisol's effect by having too much of it. Sounds strange, right? When cortisol levels stay high for too long, usually from chronic stress, your body becomes resistant to it, just like it does with insulin in diabetes. In conditions like Cushing's syndrome, cortisol levels are elevated, but its effectiveness drops because your receptors stop responding. It's the same story with insulin resistance. Your body makes more and more insulin, but blood sugar still stays high because the cells no longer react properly. So even though cortisol is present, it's not doing its job to calm inflammation. That's why conditions ending with itis, like bursitis, arthritis, or tendinitis, often link back to cortisol resistance. And just like too much insulin is toxic, too much cortisol is also harmful. Your body tries to protect you by reducing its effect, but that can lead to pain, swelling, and fatigue. Here's something many people don't realize. One of the best natural anti-inflammatories is vitamin D. In fact, vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a vitamin, and its function is strikingly similar to cortisol. If someone needs prednisone, a synthetic form of cortisol, to manage inflammation, higher doses of vitamin D, around 10,000 to even 30,000 IU per day, under guidance, can sometimes produce similar benefits without the side effects. Now, let's move to another major cause, allergies. Food allergies are a common trigger. Take dairy, for example. Many people react to casein, the protein found in milk, which can lead to chronic inflammation in the digestive system. Then there's gluten, the protein in wheat, which causes problems for millions worldwide. Even if you're not fully allergic, you might still have a sensitivity that keeps your body in a low-grade inflammatory state every time you eat it. These hidden sources of irritation, stress, hormonal imbalance, nutrient deficiencies, and food sensitivities are quietly fueling inflammation in millions of people every single day. Reducing inflammation isn't just about comfort, it's about protecting your long-term health. Chronic inflammation has been linked to everything from joint pain to heart disease, Alzheimer's, and even cancer. So if you can lower inflammation through better nutrition, stress management, good sleep, and essential nutrients like vitamin D, you're not just easing pain, you're actively preventing some of the most serious diseases of our time. Let's continue this discussion on inflammation because it connects to almost everything happening in the body. Let's start with lactose intolerance. This happens when you're not able to properly digest the natural sugar in milk called lactose. When that happens, milk and dairy products can trigger bloating, cramping, and inflammation in your digestive system. Then there are environmental allergies. Maybe you're allergic to ragweed pollen or dust. These irritants can inflame your sinuses, throat, or lungs, leading to that constant sneezing, congestion, or coughing. For me personally, it's poison ivy. If I even come within a few hundred feet of it, I start itching like crazy. I seem to get it every year, and at this point, nothing really helps. It's just my body's overreaction. Now there's another kind of allergy that's much more serious. When your body becomes allergic to itself. This is what we call autoimmunity. It might not look like a typical allergy, but that's essentially what it is. Your immune system develops antibodies that start attacking your own tissues. For example, in Hashimoto's disease, the immune system attacks the thyroid. In lupus, it targets connective tissue. And in multiple sclerosis, MS, it attacks the myelin sheath, the protective coating around your nerves in the brain and spinal cord. To manage autoimmune diseases, doctors often prescribe medications like Humira or prednisone. Prednisone is a synthetic form of cortisol, your body's natural anti-inflammatory hormone. It suppresses the immune system to stop it from attacking itself. But here's the downside. When your immune system is shut down, you're left vulnerable. Viruses, bacteria, and other infections can invade easily because your body's natural defenses are turned off. Now let's move to the next cause, infections. When you get an acute infection like a cold or flu, your immune system reacts with inflammation to fight it off. That's normal. And once the infection clears, the inflammation subsides. But chronic infections are a different story. Some viruses, like Epstein-Barr or Lyme disease, can hide in your body in a dormant state. They might go quiet for months or years, then suddenly flare up again. What triggers them? Stress. When you're worn down, your immune system weakens, and these latent infections take advantage of that. That's why strengthening your immune system through nutrition, rest, and stress management is key. A strong immune system keeps these hidden infections in check and prevents repeated flare-ups and inflammation. Now let's talk about a major source of inflammation, the gut. Your digestive system is the front line of your immune health. Conditions like ulcers, gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or autoimmune gut disorders are all linked to chronic inflammation inside the gut wall. The main culprit, food. Certain foods, especially those high in inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids like soybean oil, canola oil, and cottonseed oil, are everywhere in modern diets. These oils trigger inflammation and can lead to ulcers, intestinal damage, and even weak spots where cancer cells may grow. Then there's constipation. When food moves too slowly through your digestive tract, toxins start to build up, what's called auto-intoxication. This stagnation can irritate the gut lining and lead to inflammation. And let's not forget antibiotics. While antibiotics kill harmful bacteria, they also destroy your good gut flora, the beneficial bacteria that help regulate your immune system and keep inflammation under control. Without this balance, your intestines can develop micro tears and scar tissue, leading to nutrient absorption problems, leaky gut, and even more inflammation. So what helps calm gut inflammation? One of the best foods for healing is cabbage. Cabbage contains natural compounds that soothe the stomach lining and help repair intestinal tissue. It's especially effective when eaten raw, fermented, like sauerkraut or kimchi, or as a simple coleslaw. It's gentle on digestion, yet powerfully healing. Another excellent remedy is wheatgrass juice or wheatgrass powder. It's loaded with chlorophyll and plant nutrients that act like an internal cleanser for your digestive tract. It heals the inner lining of your stomach and intestines without causing irritation. And don't worry, even though it's from wheat, wheatgrass doesn't contain gluten because it's harvested before the seed forms. Lastly, a great supplement for gut repair is zinc L-carnosine. This compound helps protect and rebuild the stomach lining, making it especially useful for people with ulcers, gastritis, or chronic digestive inflammation. So remember, whether it's food sensitivities, hidden infections, or autoimmune reactions, inflammation is often your body's way of asking for balance. The goal isn't to eliminate inflammation entirely, but to keep it in check so your body can heal, repair, and thrive. Let's talk about another big cause of inflammation. And this one might surprise you because it's something most people eat every single day: sugar and refined carbohydrates. When you consume too much sugar or foods that quickly turn into sugar, like white bread, pasta, pastries, and processed snacks, your blood glucose spikes. That constant flood of sugar damages the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, which is only one cell layer thick. Once that lining is injured, your body rushes to repair it by forming clots or plaque made of cholesterol, protein, and calcium. Over time, this leads to hardened arteries, high blood pressure, heart attacks, and strokes. And it doesn't stop there. Damaged blood vessels mean poor circulation. And poor circulation means problems with the eyes, kidneys, and nerves. In your eyes, this shows up as retinopathy, cataracts, or macular degeneration. In your nerves, it leads to tingling or numbness in your feet, known as peripheral neuropathy. In the kidneys, it creates inflammation that slowly weakens their filtering ability. In short, high blood sugar doesn't just harm one part of your body, it harms nearly every part. Here's the link. When glucose stays high, insulin, the hormone that lowers blood sugar, also stays high. Over time, your cells stop responding to it, a condition known as insulin resistance. That means your body pumps out even more insulin, which drives more inflammation. So, a diet high in sugar and refined carbs keeps your body in a constant inflammatory loop. And it's not just what you eat, it's how often you eat. Every time you snack, even on something small, insulin is triggered. So if you're grazing all day, even on healthy foods, you're still keeping insulin high and inflammation active. That's why adopting a low-carb diet and practicing intermittent fasting can be powerful tools. They give your body time to rest, lower insulin levels, and allow inflammation to cool down naturally. Now let's move to another hidden source, your own fat cells. When fat accumulates, especially around the abdomen, those fat cells don't just sit there. They release inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. These cytokines worsen insulin resistance and trigger more inflammation. It's a vicious cycle. Inflammation causes insulin resistance, and insulin resistance fuels more inflammation. Next up, old injuries. We talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. Old injuries that never fully healed can remain chronically inflamed for years. If you're eating a high-carb or high-sugar diet, that inflammation only worsens. No amount of turmeric, vitamin D, or supplements will make a real difference if your diet is constantly triggering inflammation from within. I've seen many patients try everything from fish oil to herbal remedies, but until they cut down their carbs, nothing truly helped. Another overlooked cause is bile duct problems. Your bile ducts are small tubes that carry bile from the liver to the gallbladder and into your small intestine to help digest fats. When bile becomes thick or sluggish, what we call sludge, or when small stones form, they can cause inflammation, especially on the right side of your body under the ribs. This type of inflammation often goes unnoticed. People might think it's muscle pain, joint stiffness, or back trouble, when in reality, it's coming from the bile system. I saw this many times in my clinic. Patients would try all sorts of rehab and vitamins, yet the real issue was bile flow. A simple remedy for this? Purified bile salts. They help thin the bile, clear out the sludge, and restore normal flow. Another natural helper is TUDCA, taurosodioxycholic acid. Taken on an empty stomach, it helps thin the bile and relieve that pressure or pain that often comes with poor bile flow. Now, another major factor, low vitamin D. Vitamin D isn't just a vitamin. It acts like a hormone and is one of the body's most powerful natural anti-inflammatories. When your vitamin D levels are low, which is true for most people, you're much more prone to inflammation, especially in your lower back, knees, joints, and even bones. Vitamin D deficiency is also linked to higher cancer risk. Why? Because chronic inflammation can reactivate dormant cancer cells. Keeping vitamin D levels in a healthy range not only reduces pain and inflammation, but also helps protect against disease recurrence. Finally, we can't ignore the balance between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Most modern diets are overloaded with omega-6 fats from processed seed oils, like corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, and canola oil, while being very low in omega-3 fats. This imbalance fuels inflammation. Omega-3s, found in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and in cod liver oil, are anti-inflammatory. They help keep your blood vessels flexible, your joints mobile, and your brain sharp. Without enough omega-3s, even healthy fasting or dieting can sometimes trigger inflammation because your body lacks the fats it needs to cool things down. So to summarize this section, too much sugar or frequent eating keeps insulin high. Inflammation increases, extra belly fat produces inflammatory chemicals. More insulin resistance, old injuries, stay inflamed without dietary changes. Sluggish bile flow causes pain and inflammation. On the right side low, vitamin D weakens your natural anti-inflammatory defense. Too many omega-6 fats and not enough. Omega-3s fan the flames of chronic inflammation. When you start correcting these, balancing your fats, lowering sugar, eating less often, and restoring your vitamin D, you're not just easing pain. You're protecting your body from the long-term damage inflammation can cause, from arthritis and heart disease to cancer and memory decline. Let's wrap everything together and look at how all of this connects. And more importantly, what you can do about inflammation. When people go on prolonged fasts, I often see them make a simple mistake. They forget to include essential nutrients like electrolytes, B vitamins, and omega-3 fatty acids. Some even develop joint pain or arthritis during fasting and assume it's because fasting is harmful. But that's not the case. It's simply because they're missing omega-3s. Omega-3 fatty acids are called essential for a reason. Your body can't make them, so you must get them from food. Without them, inflammation can rise quickly. To make matters worse, most people consume far too many omega-6 fatty acids from vegetable or seed oils like soy, corn, canola, or cottonseed oil, found in almost every processed or restaurant food. Whenever I eat out, I always ask what oil they use. If it's soy or canola, I skip it altogether. The same goes for salad dressings. Check the labels. Even if it's organic, avoid those made with seed oils. Instead, choose olive oil or avocado oil dressings with vinegar. Those are anti-inflammatory and heart-friendly. Next, let's talk about environmental toxins. Plastics, silicone implants, and thousands of chemicals in our modern environment can all act as hidden sources of inflammation. They quietly disrupt hormones, irritate tissues, and weaken the immune system over time. Now, I want to revisit something we discussed earlier because it's that important. Frequent eating. It's not just sugar or carbs that cause inflammation, it's how often you eat. Every time you snack, your insulin levels go up, and high insulin equals inflammation. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do to reduce inflammation is to combine a low-carb diet with intermittent fasting. But remember, it's not just about eating less, it's about eating better. Choose whole, nutrient-dense foods, leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, salads, and antioxidant-rich plants. These help neutralize free radicals, the unstable molecules that cause cellular damage during inflammation. Your body also produces its own natural antioxidants, but constant eating suppresses this system. Fasting, on the other hand, boosts it. That's one more reason fasting is such a powerful anti-inflammatory tool. Let's talk about iron next. Iron is a trace mineral that your body needs in small amounts, but too much can be toxic. Your body has no natural way to get rid of excess iron. During infections, bacteria and viruses feed on iron, so your body cleverly locks it away to starve them, which is why anemia can sometimes appear after illness. However, chronically high iron levels, especially in the liver, can cause cirrhosis, fibrosis, and severe inflammation. So, avoid cooking with cast iron pans or taking multivitamins that contain added iron unless prescribed. Iron-fortified grains and cereals are another hidden source. You can literally pick up some of them with a magnet due to the metallic iron they contain. Now let's go over the most effective actions to fight inflammation naturally. Boost your vitamin D levels. Take at least 10,000 IU daily, more if inflammation is chronic, 20,000, 40,000 IU. Always pair it with vitamin K2 to prevent calcium buildup in the arteries. The ratio is simple. For every 10,000 IU of vitamin D3, take 100 mcg of K2 to identify and eliminate allergy triggers. Whether food-related or environmental, removing the source is key. Fasting can also help retrain your immune system, reducing allergic reactions over time. Address chronic infections. Use immune-supporting nutrients like vitamin D and whole food vitamin C. Herbal antimicrobials such as garlic, oregano oil, and thyme are also powerful, natural options. Heal the gut. Use zinc L-carnosine for ulcers and gastritis, along with soothing foods like fermented cabbage, sauerkraut or kimchi, and wheatgrass juice. Protect your heart. Take vitamin E tocotrienols, not the common tocopherols. Tocotrienols are about 50 times more potent for reducing inflammation and oxidative stress, especially in arteries and the liver. Adopt a low-carb, nutrient-dense diet. Pair it with intermittent fasting. This combination naturally lowers insulin, cools inflammation, and restores metabolic balance. Add natural anti-inflammatory herbs. Turmeric is one of the best, especially when sourced fresh or from trusted growers. Other excellent options include stinging nettle root and ginger, support bile flow. If you experience right-sided pain or discomfort after eating, purified bile salts or tudka can help clear bile sludge and reduce liver and gallbladder inflammation. Balance your fats. Increase omega-3s from fish oil, cod liver oil, salmon or sardines, and reduce omega-6 from seed oils. This balance alone can dramatically lower systemic inflammation. Be cautious with iron. Avoid iron-fortified foods, unnecessary supplements, and iron cookware. Too much stored iron acts like rust inside your body, fueling inflammation and oxidative damage. When you put all these steps together, balanced nutrients, clean fats, fewer carbs, longer fasting windows, and the right vitamins, inflammation starts to fade. Your joints loosen, your energy rises, your digestion calms, and your mind becomes clearer. So now that you understand why inflammation happens and how to reverse it, it's time to take action. Start by fixing your diet, supporting your vitamin D and omega-3 levels, and giving your body time to rest and repair through fasting. Your body already knows how to heal. All it needs is the right environment to do so.